of us need to know what Christmas is all about. And Christmas is God's love story. And the love story begins way, way before. Many times we think that, this whole Christmas story is the beginning and the end. The Jesus being born in Bethlehem, the shepherds, the angels, the star. That's the beginning and that's the end. But I want to tell you, that's neither the beginning nor is it the end. God's love story began way before. It began with creation. When there was nothing in existence, God wanted to have somebody that he could have a relationship with. And so what did he do? He created Adam. And then out of Adam, he created Eve. Why? He needed someone to talk to. He wanted somebody that he could walk in the garden with. Because he had created so much. He had the garden, there was trees and there were birds and there was, the skies and the water and everything was beautiful. Everything was breathtaking. And God wanted someone to fellowship with. Somebody who could share and appreciate what he had made. And so God made Adam and God made Eve. God made you and God made me. Why? Because he wanted to have a relationship with us. What happened was sin crept into the world. What is sin? Sin is missing the mark. And we all know the story about Adam and Eve and the apple and the Satan. And what happened was that the fellowship was broken because God is God. God cannot live in close fellowship with anything that is unholy. If we believe in God, we know that God is holy. And he cannot have fellowship with anything that is unholy. And so Adam and Eve, God sent them out of the garden. And the fellowship was broken. The relationship was broken. Just like you saw in the play, there was God and, he made everything. He made the birds and everything. And then, the fellowship began. And it was so good. It was so good. And then things started to creep in. The money, the drinking, the fashion, the need to be accepted, the need to give in to peer pressure. And that's exactly what happened. When God's fellowship with man was broken, God was heartbroken. And God said, this cannot be. This cannot be. And if you read God's word, which is the Bible, and you will find that, that God started to plan right from then how he will restore the fellowship once again between him and man. And so throughout the ages, you find that God sent prophets into the world, prophets who would tell people, beware, a Messiah is coming. Change your ways. Don't do what you're doing. A Messiah is coming. And he will take the world's sin away on his shoulders. He will give you peace. And on the other side, the people were groaning. People were saying, what's happening? When will we ever be restored to that relationship with God? And that has been the age-old cry of the human heart. Even today, wherever you go, what is man looking for? A way back into that fellowship. Because it's so beautiful. There's nothing that can describe it. We can see plays, we can watch movies about it, we can read about it in the books. And we need to experience it. So these prophets were coming and they were prophesying about God coming into the world. And people were groaning and saying, when is this going to end? When is this sin going to go away? And 750 years before Jesus was born, a prophet Isaiah prophesied and he said, there will be born for you, unto you a child is born. A son is given in Bethlehem. Bethlehem was the place where Jesus was born. And then we enter into the Christmas story. A lot of things happened, and I'm not going to go through all the details. In fact, what I would like to do is I would invite you to read the Bible. Even if you've gone to the church 500 times, it's all right. But you need to read the Bible again. And if you haven't been, and you'll find that it's a very, very interesting story. This is God's love story. And when Jesus was born, there was the shepherds. And they got the message from the angels. And there was these 3 wise men. And there was the star, this bright star that led them to Bethlehem. And there was Mary, and there was Joseph. Mary, confused, thoroughly confused. Because she was pregnant. And she was, she said, how can this be? Because I'm not even married. And there was Joseph, thoroughly confused, wondering what was going on. However, both Mary and Joseph, believing that this was God's plan for their lives, and Mary gives birth to this child in a manger. And who gets the news? The shepherds. Those shepherds, who were watching